Hot damn, college boy. We are here, and well, we're here. I'm Matt, and that's Travis.
Hey there.
Sorry, a little bit of a cough. And yeah, we are here for the latest episode. Episode, what is this one? 12, I believe.
Are we on 12 already?
12, 11. I'm not sure. These are numbers. Once you get past
Mm.
single digits, I begin to lose count. It all gets murky at that point. It's hard to say. 12, 21, 36, 75, 24. These are numbers.
These are
Or so
numbers.
I'm told.
We're,
So I'm
we're
told.
not numbers guys. We're words guys.
Exact. Well, I wouldn't even go that far.
Well, okay, maybe we're
Gestures.
guys. We're gesture guys.
Gestures. Gestures.
I like that.
Gestures in the dark. That's the nickname of our podcast. Gestures in I'm making a lot of hand
Just,
movements that no one will ever see.
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So tonight we're talking about Six String Samurai.
Yeah, so there's a
And
reason it's all disjointed and weird. It's on theme.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, so we're gonna jump into it by starting with talking about how you been. How's it been going? How you been doing?
Not too bad. It's going all right. Pretty steady at work. We did all the training and stuff. I'm kind of getting back to normal, and I'll be back to what I was doing on not this next Monday, but the Monday after. So back to normal. It's gonna be
Lovely,
nice.
lovely.
Yeah. How about yourself? How's it been going in Shea Matthew?
It could be better. So this Monday, I got ready to drive to work. Back up, swerve, park the car. Need context. So this weekend, me and my wife are looking at houses. Car's making a funny noise.
Hmm.
Brakes sound a little odd. Okay. Well, they go from sounding odd to we're looking at a house that's kind of like up on a big hill, the parking for the house. Like, it kind of goes up considerably. And so when we're coming back out of the parking area for this house, as we're looking at it
Hmm.
after taking a tour of it, with the car kind of like bottoms out, right? Like the
Oh.
bottom of the car kind of like hits the floor of the concrete because it's at such an incline.
Hmm.
Well, so the brakes were already sounding a little janky. They definitely didn't sound good after that. And
Oh.
so immediately the car kind of became a little hard to like stop. So we decided to cut the house tour short and came home. Didn't drive it
Hmm.
the next day. Ubered everywhere. Monday, I got an appointment to take it into the shop. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it in. I'm assuming I can make it from where we are, my house, to the shop because whenever we were out looking for houses, I had to drive further than that. So I'm like, well, if I drove that far the first time a couple days ago, certainly I can make it if I drove a mile last time, I can drive less than a mile this time, certainly.
Right.
My logic did not work out. I made
Oh.
it to the first stop sign and I kind of strolled on through that bad boy when I went to put the brakes
Oh.
on. So I
Goodness.
didn't hit the emergencies, didn't panic. I was only going like 10 miles an hour, but going very, very slow. I live in a highly populated area. There's a lot of cars around, so you never go
Oh,
too
yeah.
fast anyway.
Oh, okay. That makes
This
sense.
is a problem, as I've mentioned. I work at a school, so in order to get to the dealer, to not the dealership, but to the place where I was going to take the car to get worked on, I would have to
Hmm.
cross at least one or two school zones. There's no way around that.
Uh,
It's just part of where I live at, right? So I'm like, nah, I definitely don't feel comfortable driving a car that's having this hard of a time stopping into a school zone. It's gonna take me like like 30
yeah.
minutes to get to work, or I'm gonna be like run over somebody. So instead,
Mm.
I just put the car in reverse, drove it backwards all the way home, and then parked it, got it towed. It's getting fixed right now, hopefully. Supposed to at least. He told me it hopefully
Yeah.
be ready by Thursday or Friday at the latest. It's gonna be like 2 grand to get all of the things done. Apparently, their brakes pads are completely shot. And
Oof.
yeah, the rivets and the divots, the joints, the something. I'm not sure. I'm not a car guy. I know how to
No, not a
drive the
car guy.
fucking thing. Yeah, I know how to drive the
We're
fucking
we're not
thing.
car guys either.
No, yeah, I wish I was in a different world because I feel like it would have helped me in so many different ways to know more about cars, how to fix them, how
Yeah.
to do things on my own. Like I know how to change my own oil. I'm just
Yeah.
lazy and I don't want to. Um, But I will accept that. I will gladly accept. Yes, I will go and pay someone $100 to do something I don't want to because I can afford it. If I couldn't afford it, then yeah, I would probably have to get down there and
Then,
change my oil myself.
yep.
But I'm a working man for this reason, right? This is the luxury
Yeah,
that
it's a
capitalism has
luxury.
afforded me, right? That
There
this
you
this is
go.
cap this is trickle down economics, right? My laziness is trickling down into someone else's pocket. Um, but yeah, I don't know enough about cars, and so yeah, it would have helped me in this situation because I probably would have been able to tell like right away, like this is not good. We should need to not drive on this, get it towed home, because we're just going to do more damage as we drive on the brakes over the next like I think it took us like 20 minutes to get home as we drove pretty slow, but we had to stop a lot because it's a big city with a lot of stoplights and street lights. If you've ever been to Midtown
Hmm.
Memphis, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a lot of little tiny streets that all intersect and crisscross, and there's a couple different ways to avoid them, but both all of the ways to avoid them involve going very fast, 45, 50 miles an hour, and I
Sure.
definitely didn't want to do that on a car that I didn't know if it would stop.
Yeah,
So
no.
instead, I took the slow way home, which seemed more safe, especially with my wife in the car, and didn't want to do any damage, more damage than we were already doing to it. But
Yeah,
who
right.
knows? It's gonna cost me like $2,000, which sucks. But hey,
Yeah, but
that's
you know,
why I'm working, right?
yeah,
That's why I
basically.
that's why I go to work for is for these things,
I
right? Yeah,
realized something
it's
as
fun
I
times.
said we're not as I said we're not car guys.
Yeah.
I've worked at garages.
I was
I've
gonna
worked
say,
on
I
cars,
you have worked on cars. I never have. Never have.
and
I don't even
I
know how to
still don't
drive a
know
stick
anything.
shift. So like I
Oh,
am
I
a
can't.
I am a perfect millennial. Like
I learned to drive, or well, tried to learn to drive on a stick shift, but I just couldn't get it, couldn't figure it out. So automatic for me all the way.
so this will might tell you more about my family than the audience needs to know, but when my dad tried to show me before he even started, he just said, yeah, what did he say? I'm trying to pick it's like I remember the idea of what he said, but I don't remember the precise words. I am almost 40, so this was a long time ago. This is when I was like 14. Basically, the premise of what he said was that I'm too much like my mother for him to bother trying to teach me how to drive a stick shift. Because, like, I guess when he tried to show her how to drive a stick shift, like, it didn't go well. And it was
Mhm.
like a big fight that they always talked about, like, in our family, like, oh, when dad tried to show mom how to
Uh,
drive a stick shift, like, shit. Apparently, my dad sucks at teaching, or, yeah, don't know. But he never bothered to
eh,
teach me. Driver's ed ever bothered to teach me. I never had a car that I needed to learn how to drive a stick shift on, so I don't know how to drive one.
nope.
So hopefully the end of the world never happens and I have to pop a clutch because I'm
Yeah, right.
fucked. Speaking of the end of the world, we are
Hey,
going
yeah.
to debut a new. Don't mind me just stopping in to say hey and thanks for listening to the podcast. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it and are finding it fun and interesting to hear us talk weekly about the end of the world and a hopefully less than horrific viewpoint. Try to make it a little bit fun, some levity as we talk about these kind of depressing movies. And yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and keep listening. Thank you so much. And back to the show. I was actually
So,
going to go early vote, but the car breaking down kind of threw a monkey wrench
oh
into those plans.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I
that
got
sucks.
to, well, the good news is it has made me walk a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I've gotten lifts home in the morning because it's like from where I live to where I work is only like a 3 mile drive, but it's like an hour long walk. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit of a walk, a little bit more than I want to do. So I'll get a lift home, but in the afternoon, usually like when I got done with work, I would go pick up groceries, whatever we needed for the night, I would go and get. So I'm still doing that because the grocery store that I shop at is only like 3 or 4 blocks from where I work at. So it's not doesn't take much time to walk there, but
Hmm.
surprisingly, that like couple of blocks doing that like daily has built up. Like I've walked like 5 miles a day every day for the last couple of days.
Dang.
So my legs are killing me right now. But
But
uh,
cardio
I
wise,
yeah, I feel like it's probably good for my health as I get closer to 40. Probably not a bad
yeah.
thing to walk an extra 5 miles a day on top of everything else I'm doing. So.
Yeah, no kidding.
Haven't been sedentary. Feel kind of like the characters of this movie that we're about to talk about. Let's
Yeah,
go ahead and
exactly.
transition into that.
Very nice segue, by the way.
Thank you. We're talking about Six String Samurai. I
Yes.
really liked this movie as a
Oh,
first time
yes.
watcher of it. So let's talk about the background and then we'll get into the plot and then talk about what we're going to watch next week. Because the background of this movie is unfortunately a little bleak, not bleak, I should say. It's a little, there's not a whole lot to
Mm,
say. There's not a
it's
lot to
pretty
go on.
slim.
It's bleak into one way because both of the director and the writer involved in this and the main star
Hmm.
unfortunately didn't really do a whole lot ever again after this. So this was directed and written by Lance Mungia, I believe is what we said his name. How
I believe
pronounce it?
that's, yeah,
Close
yeah.
enough for government work. That's what I'm going with.
There it
I'm
is.
sorry, Lance, if you're listening. I like your work. At least this
Yeah.
movie. Your second movie. Oh boy, we'll get
Oh,
to that.
I haven't even looked into this guy.
Yeah, so he only this movie, if you haven't watched it, it is very much it is reeking with style. It has a
Mm,
look, it has
mm,
a way it is shot. You either like it or you don't, but it definitely he is an auteur. He is coming at this with some style.
yes.
His second movie and his last movie he directed,
Mm.
Crow Wicked Prayer.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the one with Edward Furlong.
Yeah, I've only seen the first one. I can't bring myself to watch the sequels.
So I've seen, I think, all of the Crow movies. The first one is the only good one, and
Hmm. Oh,
all
that's
of them
okay.
are really, really, really bad. Especially this one, the Edward Furlong one, is also quite bad.
Yeah.
I did not know he directed that movie until I looked up his IMDb doing research on this, and I was like, oh, it's that guy. Wow.
Were you
Oh,
amazed that that movie was directed?
I did it. I just I haven't watched it in years. Maybe I got to go back and rewatch it at some point
Hmm.
to see like if there's any kind of stylistic similarities between the two. I remember
Uh,
really not liking it. I remember really not liking it. I don't know,
yeah, that makes sense
maybe
though.
it's aged perfectly. Um, the director kind of reminds me of Richard Kelly, who directed Donnie Darko, in the sense that
Oh.
he made like a really good debut, and then
Hmm.
everything he's done since then has kind of shit.
Really? Okay, see, I only
Yeah.
know Donnie Darko, so I didn't know any of the other ones he's
Oh
done.
boy, just wait until we watch Southland Tales.
Oh, oh no.
Yeah. Southland Tales is Richard Kelly's movie about the end of the world that begins in Abilene, Texas.
And if it was going to happen anywhere.
Hey, guess where I was born? I was born in Abilene,
Yeah.
Texas. So I know all about that little shithole.
Yeah, that's where my
Full
daughter
of
lives now too. So-
Yeah, full of Baptists. Nothing like them.
oh, yes.
And talk about end of the world. Oh, there's a reason I like end of the world stuff. It's because of the good Southern Baptist, baby. Um, so yeah, that is who he reminds me of. Richard Kelly. Southland
Hmm.
Tales is a movie that we'll watch at some point. It's a trip of a fucking movie.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's a trip of a fucking movie. So coming along, co-writing this movie and also co-directing all the action scenes is Jeffrey Falcon.
Very cool name.
He's also our main star.
He is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is pretty much the last thing he ever did.
Well, no, that's a shame.
Yeah, this was supposed to be his vehicle into stardom. He was a let me see. So he studied wushu, and he was a national champion of wushu, actually. In
Wow.
addition to being like just very good at all kinds of martial arts. Um, Lived in Taiwan for a little while, and then got
Hmm.
started in the movie industry because of Jackie Chan, actually. So
Oh,
Jackie Chan
awesome.
got him started, and he was like the white thug bad guy in like a ton of Hong Kong karate action movies in the 80s and 90s.
Awesome.
Yeah. His name in a lot of those movies was actually, he went by the name Get Fu, which I thought was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And then actually when he after this movie didn't make enough money to realize its potential, which we'll get to, because this was supposed to be the start of a three movie trilogy,
Which I
which
also didn't know until you told me.
yeah, and you and I are going to finish it. And yeah, so
What?
this was the last thing that he was in. So yeah, after this movie, he ended up moving back to China, I think, from what I could find, and I think he still lives in China. He just works in other industries, like he doesn't have anything to do with movies anymore. But apparently, he's
Huh.
married and living in China and enjoying his life. So hey,
Well, good for him. Hope it's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So yeah, he was kind of like the thug bad guy in a lot of those movies. But apparently, like all of the fights in this movie, no special effects, completely him.
That's
And
awesome.
he also directed all of the action scenes. So anytime that it goes to like them fighting, the way the camera angles, the position of them, the way the actors, all of that would be him as well. So
Oh.
in addition to that, he also is actually plays the guitar in the movie whenever he
Oh,
is playing
okay.
the guitar, and he wields the katana. So he's a very talented man. Unfortunately, this movie did not make enough money for them to continue to use him in whatever way they were going to in the next couple sequels. Because
Yeah.
I imagine it would be kind of like I'm kind of imagining like an Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of thing
Yeah,
or
I
something. Or
could
I
see
mean, I
that.
guess you see kind of like in the film has like a little bit of reincarnation at the end of this one. So maybe he just, reassumes the role and no one notices the difference except now he goes by a different name or something. Anyway, we'll get to that
I gotta
later.
say, I wouldn't have minded him taking on like a director role on these others, knowing that about those action scenes because they're good.
Yeah.
Those are good action scenes. So,
Yeah. Yeah, he did all of his own stunts. So the other thing that's interesting is they actually had to film only on the weekends because the child in the movie was actually going to school while the movie was being filmed. So that kind
oh,
of dictated them only being able to film on the weekends. Budget was estimated at about $2 million. So
okay,
yeah, a
that's
decent
pretty.
budget.
That's a pretty decent budget for him.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, according to what I could find, it looks like the gross take home it made in the box office. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know if this factors in DVD sales or licensing or streaming. It's currently on YouTube for free. Last time
yeah.
when we talked, I said it was on Tubi. It's not on Tubi anymore,
It's
turns out.
yeah. I was gonna say
So
I don't think I found it anywhere except for just what they posted on YouTube.
yeah, Palm had the DVD distributor has a version posted on YouTube, which is completely free, and I'm gonna steal a little bit from it here in a minute whenever we talk about some different parts of it. Some
Yeah.
little there's a maybe the guitar scene. I want to use that guitar duel for our intro. I think that would be perfect,
Ooh, I
perfect.
like that.
I'm gonna try it with this episode and see how it sounds. See if I can get it to sound good. We'll see. Back to how much money this movie made. $146,000
Oh no.
against a $2 million budget. So yeah, it did not make enough
No.
money to justify them continuing to make sequels, but has developed quite the cult audience. Actually, like when it
Yes.
debuted, it won some awards at Slam Dance. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Slam Dance Film Festival. It won the jury prize for like best movie. They loved it there. So
Yeah.
and it's definitely has an audience. Like there is a cult
Oh
audience
yeah.
that loves this movie, and I have to
Yeah,
say, I really liked it. I really
I
liked
was
it.
one of them too. I got real excited when you said what we were watching, so
Yeah.
because I've
So this movie.
always loved this movie.
So before we get into the plot of the movie, this movie came out in September of 1998, which is almost the end of 1998. Would you
Yep.
like to know? Take a guess at the top five songs of 1998.
Oh God, I can't even. I can't even get my head back in that area, like or back in that space. Maybe Matchbox 20 or something. I don't know.
Unfortunately, not in the top five. So I'll give you
Oh,
I'll
that's a
give you the
shame.
artist for number five. Let's see if you can give me the song. Leanne Rhymes.
Blue.
And for How Do I Live?
Oh,
Number four might
I
help you though. Number four, I think you got it. I got faith in you. They only had like two or three songs. That was it. Savage Garden.
Savage Garden. That's that one song that I don't think I know the name of. Is that one that's like
So
oh
series of
man.
adjectives or
Oh,
verbs. I'm not sure.
something. You know what? I don't have it. I lost it.
Moving
Like
on.
truly, madly, deeply.
That's it. You got it.
Oh, I did it.
There you go.
I just had to like talk my way out of it.
Number three, Shania Twain.
Oh God, in '98 was she doing?
1998. Shania
God,
Twain.
this is right after my CMT days. My
Hmm.
that was back in like what 90
I
94.
I hate almost all 90s country with a passion.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
A big
Oh,
fan
it
of
was a
60s and 70s. Do not like
oh
the
yeah,
90s.
absolutely. Oh no, it was brutal. I'm trying to think of what her songs were. I don't know. What's that one? I don't know the name of it, but like the "Don't Impress Me Much" song.
Unfortunately, that's a good one, but that's not the one. This one is You're Still the One.
Oh, that's right. Jeez, I've
Yeah,
like
yeah.
forgotten everything these people did.
Yeah. So number two is a duet, which I have the music video etched into my mind because MTV played it incessantly.
Hmm.
Artist is Brandy and Monica.
Ah, the boy is mine.
Yeah, that's it. Good job, sir. Good job.
And see, now
So,
once we get to like the R&B stuff, now I got it.
well, number one is an R&B song, but it's kind of a one-hit wonder of an R&B song, honestly. I think actually it might be involved with P. Diddy. The
Oh, that's a
artist was
shame.
Next.
Next.
Next, yeah. The song is Too Close.
Too close. I'm gonna have to look
Hmm.
this up because I don't know if
You feel
I
a
feel
little
like
bump coming through
yeah.
on you, that song.
Is that do I know that?
You're moving. I think it was like you're moving in a little too close. I don't know how it goes exactly, but I know there's something to do with like a bump. It's like an erection or something, I believe is the innuendo.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
upsetting.
that was the number one song of 1998 was Next.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next. And oh man.
That's what my minute of research found me.
I like that though. I
I
like
wrote
that
that
because
I wrote that today in Sharpie while the kids were taking a test because I had nothing to do while they were testing. 'Cause,
oh, there you go.
yeah, I had the monitor on the computer so I could just watch them from the computer to see what they were doing. So it was
Oh yeah, there you
the
go.
wonders of technology.
Yeah.
Speaking of the wonders of technology, we're going to take a little pause and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the plot of Six String Samurai and then talk about what we're going to watch next week. So we'll be right back. Peace. Hey, so this is not really an ad. I'm not being paid for this or anything. Just interrupting the podcast to give a little shout out to some people that I really enjoy. Um, if you're wanting to refinance your home or looking to buy a home for the first time and you live in Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, or Texas, then you should really look out Mortgage Financial Services, especially the lender Miranda Noland. She's really wonderful. She's getting started in the business. She's very knowledgeable, though, and she's also very friendly and helpful to everyone that she works with. And she will go above and beyond to help you and just give you information about what you need to do to get a home, what steps you should take, even if you're not necessarily ready to buy or if you're looking to refinance. That can be something that's difficult for people who have never done it before or and need some assistance with that. So she's great with that. Her NMLS ID number, that's hard for me to say, is 256-7401. One more time, that's 256-7401. And you can also look her up on Miranda. That's MIRANDA .mortgagefinancial.com. And thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day and continue listening to the show. Bye. And we are back, and Travis listened to the song of
Yeah.
Next during the break, and tell the people what you thought.
I actually do remember this song. I just never knew who did it or the name of it or anything. It was just something that came on the radio and I recognized it, but it was one of those things, if you didn't hear them intro the song, you just didn't know it. So, and they may have even said the name of it, but I just heard this is next. So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It
I
was
could have
definitely
misunderstood.
it was I similarly when I looked up excuse me, when I looked up the top songs of 1998, two things. One, I was surprised Casey and JoJo weren't higher. The
Hmm.
first mixtape I ever made for a girl, I recorded Casey and JoJo from the radio.
Oh
Which
yeah.
gets me to Next being the number one song. Same thing with you. When I first saw that, I was like, who the fuck is Next? And
Yeah.
then I played the song and I was like, oh, that song. And I was like,
Yep.
okay. I just assumed it was like, I don't know, P. Diddy or Jay-Z or Jagged Edge or Boys to Men or
Yeah.
some 90s hip hop group. I didn't know who did the song. I just attributed it to one of them because similarly, it came on the radio all the time. I never knew who actually
Mm-hmm.
was behind singing it.
Nope.
I think P Diddy was behind producing it in some way, shape, or form. I might be lying about that. I'm not going to bother to cite my sources.
Nope.
I think he has more legal things to worry about than
Yeah, I was
going
about to
after
say.
me and attributing the 1998 number one song by Next to him. Could be
Yeah,
wrong.
we're getting a pass this time.
Hypothetically. Hypothetically. Speaking of hypotheticals, we're going to talk about the plot of this movie, which is a strong non-hypothetical. And then we're going to move into our sequels, which are definitely hypotheticals.
Oh yeah.
Our pilot, our spits, our takes for how you could make this movie into a franchise. So, Six String Samurai. We talked about the director. We talked about the actor. There's really only one main actor in this movie. Everyone else is kind of locals, people that have been in a couple other things as well, but nothing
Yeah.
that really popped up as like, oh, this person did a lot of things or they have a big role in this movie. It's kind of mostly focused on him, Jeffrey
Yes.
Falcon here. So the plot of the movie goes in 1957, the damn fucking Rushkins, those damn pinko commie scums, they bombed the old red and blue, the old red, white, and blue, and most of the land is ruined, save for everyone's grandma's favorite vacation spot, Las Vegas. Las Vegas is now known as Lost Vegas.
That was very clever of him.
Hey, I like it. It's fun. And of course, you need a king if you're Vegas, and the king is Elvis, baby, because it's
Yep.
1957. So why wouldn't it be Elvis, who literally is the king? And yeah,
Yep.
so the war has ended, and what's left of the Red Army is still coming for the small bit of what's ever out there in the wasteland,
Mm-hmm.
but they're no longer really being supported by the Russians, and so they're basically just there to kind of be an annoyance for a little
Mm-hmm.
while. The movie jumps forward in time, and we find out that Elvis has left the building, and
Mm-hmm.
he has died. And Elvis has died, has caused the DJ of the movie, which is an obvious allusion to American Graffiti, which
Yep.
is one of the many, many, many allusions this movie makes. It is a fucking fantastic treat if
Oh
you
yeah.
like a lot of weird independent and art movies from the 90s and beforehand, because it has a little homages to those on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise is basically Vegas needs a new king, baby. And you got
Yep.
all these people trying to get to Vegas to take over the crown. And it's a real simple
Mm-hmm.
premise, but it's a real fun premise. Like it's
Oh yeah.
immediately kind of compelling because like you're like, okay, like I understand it. The movie can be explained in a sentence,
Yep.
which is amazing to me to be able to like, okay, I understand what I'm going in. Like Vegas needs a king. There's a bunch of people coming for the crown. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Makes sense. I'm with you.
Yep. Rock and roll warriors are converging, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really fun like take on the end of the world premise. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a very fun setup that
It
is
is.
kind of fun. Yeah. So we
I,
immediately meet. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's a real shame that this didn't take off better. Because I found it just from the beginning, from the first time I saw it back in like '98 or '99 or something like that, just on like HBO or Showtime. I just latched right on, and I was like, "This is
Yeah,
awesome."
yeah,
So
yeah. It
I kind
doesn't
of
take
wished it,
much because
yeah, I wished
like
it would have
so
been little more to it. A little more success. In an alternate universe, a better timeline. This movie got a lot of
really
attention,
takes off.
and
Yeah, yeah,
Jeffrey Falcon goes, becomes the next Jackie Chan or something.
yeah.
It
That
could
would have been
happen.
dope. That would have been dope. Yeah. So speaking of Jeffrey Falcon, we get introduced to him and we get introduced to
Hmm.
the kid.
Oh, the kid.
At
If I had to have one complaint,
It's the kid. Yeah, I can see
well,
it.
it's not always the kid. It's just
Yeah.
when the kid makes the most annoying sound in
Ah,
the world. He's almost doing the exact sound from Dumb and Dumber whenever they do the most annoying sound in the world.
it is very
The-
close. It is very,
yeah.
very close. It is very close. So yeah, we get introduced to Buddy, who is immediately an homage to Buddy Holly. Um,
Yeah.
and he's also like maybe the coolest fucking action hero you could imagine.
Yeah.
Like if you could paint a D&D picture in your head, like he looks like Buddy Holly. So he's got all black outfit on, and he's in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of the desert because he's going to Las Vegas. So kick-ass 1950s shoes, katana
Yes.
wielding, and he's got a guitar.
Very nice guitar too.
Very nice guitar and a very nice katana. Like
Yes.
he looks fucking cool. It would
Yeah.
be very very hard for you to like watch him and not be like, oh, that guy doesn't look bad. Like he looks like a badass. He looks cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
He's one of the coolest looking like 90s heroes you could see in a movie up to that point, I would guess, you know.
I'm gonna say yeah.
So the kid's mom gets killed by our villain with the movie, which is Death, who
Yes.
kind of takes to look like Slash.
I
Yeah,
was
so you get
thinking, yeah.
kind of looks he's kind of hard to tell. He's just kind of like a faded black figure with a like a top hat and a guitar, and he likes
Yeah.
heavy metal. He looks like Slash a little bit.
He looks like
So
yeah, it's like a heavy metal homage or
yeah,
illusion or something.
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
So the kid decides to tag along with Buddy, much to
Yeah.
the annoyance of Buddy, as he's on a quest to go to Las Vegas and to take over the crown of Vegas, and didn't really have
Mm-hmm.
plans for this kid coming along.
Nope. He wants to be a loner. It like you said, yeah, D&D character all the way.
Yes. So the first encounter they have, because basically this movie is like them trying to get to Vegas. They're so many miles
Mm-hmm.
away. They're going to encounter obstacles in the basically in the sense of random people joining in to fight them, which is basically what the movie is.
Just the campiest
Yes.
situations and it's amazing.
And our first camping situation is a bowling team. And
Yes.
I wrote, God, I wish they were ska fans. If
Oh,
they would have been coming in with trumpets, I would have lost my shit. I would have been like, God damn, this movie has immediately got me.
yep.
Like if they had
I
two tone and checkers and were picking it up, picking it up, picking it up to let it go, like I would have immediately been like, yeah, we got
Well,
ska. Like
of course, the bowling, like when you see bowling shirts, I attribute bowling shirts to ska. Um, and
maybe,
also
yes, it is a
bowling
strong
is
connection.
bowling is also very ska adjacent because if you have a spare, you want to pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, like you said.
Exactly. You want to pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. I love bowling. I have a love-hate relationship with ska, as you know, and eventually maybe we will talk about. I don't know. It would have to be a weird bonus episode for us to, unless there's like, God, I wish there was like a ska apocalypse movie. Like, yeah, how is there not a
Oh,
ska apocalypse? End of the world ska movie. That needs
of
to happen.
of all the genres, that would be the one because it's
All
so
right, there's
pun.
there's there's our Patreon $1 million reward goal. If someone wants to fund us a movie,
Oh,
we will quit our jobs and jointly spend the next couple of years of our lives dedicated to making ska apocalypse.
oh, 100%. That would be, oh, I'm actually
But
looking forward to something like that. I want that to happen.
that'd be nice, but it's probably
That's a
not.
dream for me now.
Wishful thinking. Yeah. Hey, no one can stop us from writing it.
That's right.
So the bowlers attack, and him and Buddy and the kid take care of the bowlers pretty easily.
Yeah.
They then move on to maybe the world's funniest car chase scene as they go
Yeah.
very, very slowly. Very and Buddy could not care less about this car chase.
Oh, no. It's too
It's a very
cool.
funny car chase scene.
He's just too
Um,
cool for this scene.
Next big reference we get after the car chase is he gets out and he's walking with an umbrella now.
Hmm.
And immediately we get a visual allusion to El Topo from Jodorowsky, which is similarly about a guy wandering the desert and he has a child with him, although very different
Oh.
outcomes. In El Topo, he abandons the child, and
Hmm.
I believe I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen Holy Mountain way more than I've seen El Topo, but I
Yeah.
believe he abandons the kid and he like crawls into the desert womb of a
Oh,
sex worker and hatches some golden eggs. Something like that.
okay.
It's a weird
That
movie.
sounds,
Yeah.
that's very Jodorowsky. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that one though.
Yeah. Watch El
I'm
Topo.
going to now.
El Topo's a fun time. El Topo's a weird time. Yeah, so getting some visual allusions to El Topo as he has
Hmm.
the umbrella carrying away. But very different tone than El Topo, And so
Hmm.
him and the kid take off and they are on their way to Vegas on foot as they well their car breaks down.
Yep.
And as it breaks down, they have to pause and you know, Buddy does the only the only normal thing you would do with a child you don't want is abandon them to cannibals.
Yes.
And that's what Buddy does. So yeah, the car
Just
breaks down and he needs a wrench. He stops to ask if these people have a wrench, and they're very clearly cannibals. And Buddy's just like,
yep.
"Hey, have the kid."
Yeah.
Like,
It's like they're one of the things he said to the kid was like, they're way better than anything you'll find out there. I was like, it really?
he may not be wrong. Who knows?
That's
It
possible.
is setting some mythos to this world building. Like I do like that we get like some mythos of like, well, there's cannibals out there and they're better
Mm-hmm.
than some of the other things that are out there. It's like, well, what the
Yeah.
fuck are the other things out there then?
Yeah,
Right?
really.
It's just interesting that the
Yeah.
cannibals are the ones that are possibly a better outcome for him. Well, he's not with the cannibals long because the cannibals get attacked by another group of people in our world
That
building, the windmill people,
yeah.
which this I don't really know why it's in here, but hey,
It's
the guys are having fun. They needed another fight scene. They also needed a
mm-hmm.
reason for Buddy to come back, and I guess maybe the family of cannibals would have been too easy for him just to kill. So they
Right.
needed and something for him to fight. So the windmill people attack and kill most of the cannibals, and the ones that they don't kill get away in the car,
Mm-hmm.
leaving
Yeah.
the kid to die. And Buddy shows up just in the nick of time and takes them all down and saves the kid. And
Mm-hmm.
you realize he's a good guy after all.
Yeah.
He's not that much of a dick.
He's just too cool, that's all.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Death is killing rock and rollers left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
And then as he's killing them, he's taking their picks from them. So
Yes.
creating another reference to like Wizard of Oz, which is a lot of in this movie has references to Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this movie is if you've seen a lot of other movies like El Topo, like Wizard of Oz, a lot of desert movies, you get a lot
Mm-hmm.
of references here, which are really cool. And the movie
I
is
think
shot beautifully. It looks
oh
very,
yes.
very like the way it's filmed is references to various samurai movies from the 50s and 60s. In the way
Mm-hmm.
visually it has that look to it. It has some Kurosawa to it.
It
Um,
does.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
it
I got a
has these
lot of those
references
vibes.
to these like 60s and 70s art films set in the desert. And
Mm-hmm.
then it has references to like 50s and 60s music, and 70s and 80s music kind of scattered throughout. It has a lot of little references all throughout, which are just it's a
Oh,
fun time to watch it. It's one of those
it
movies
really is.
that you can explain it, but not seeing it, you're missing out on a lot of the fun because visually this movie is a lot of fun.
It really is.
Even the
I'll even
action scenes
say,
directed by Falcon, those
yeah,
are also really fun. Like they're
they
really,
are.
really impressive. Anytime we talk about him fighting, just imagine like a very fucking cool fight scene. And now add a
Yeah.
katana, set it to rockabilly, with maybe a little psychobilly thrown into some of them.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's a fun time. It's a fun time.
Yeah, and a lot of the fight scenes did remind me a lot of those like, Chinese kung fu movies from like the 70s, which I did
Yeah,
watch a few of recently,
lots of
so
lots of Shaw Brother stuff. Lots of Shaw Brother
yes.
references as well. We get lots of Shaw Brother references here. So
Yeah.
if you've ever seen some of those, and also like some Bruce Lee movies,
Mhm.
we also get some Jackie Chan references. I mean, Jackie Chan helped the guy get started, so he's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
have a lot of references to also some Chinese movies that we've probably never even seen because the
Yep.
dude lived in China for a long time. So visually, I feel like Falcon is probably coming at this visually with his fight coordination, making homages to also a bunch of Chinese movies that are probably impossible to find now for us in America that are
Yeah.
also hidden little references in there. I would love to have him on commentary about this.
Oh
There
yeah.
isn't. So this movie came out on DVD on Palm, and that's the basic version of it. Vinegar Syndrome, which is a boutique DVD Blu-ray release distributor, which I own a couple of their movies.
Mhm.
They put out a version of it that has the commentary with the director, as
Oh.
well as I think one other person involved. I forget who it is. Which I would love to hear that comment. I have not heard that version. I own the basic version that I
Oh.
found at a pawn shop for like 50 cents.
There you go.
So it doesn't have any special features other than it's the movie and it has some music videos from the Red Elvises, which did all the music for this movie, which are
Yes.
actually like a pretty good little like rockabilly, psychobilly group in their own right as
I think
well. Like
so.
I think they're
Totally.
pretty nice. Yeah. Off subject. Let's get back to the plot though.
Yeah.
So Death is killing off rock and rollers left, right, and center. Like I said,
Mhm.
taking their picks. Buddy and the kid arrive in Fallout City,
Yes.
which is cool because in the Fallout game, Fallout New Vegas, there is a reference to this movie.
Is there?
Yeah, there is I think there's an achievement or a trophy you can unlock for I believe fighting or maybe wielding a katana or something. Which
Ooh,
in the trophy it kind of has a picture that looks like Six String Samurai. So
that's awesome.
pretty cool, pretty cool. I thought that was neat. So while they're in Fallout, Buddy decides to leave the kid once again because he's gonna go
Mm-hmm.
talk to a lady friend. Uh,
Yes.
but the kid proves useful as while he's talking to the lady friend, he's able to warn him that death has arrived and is coming after
Mm-hmm.
him. And so Buddy and the kid need to leave. And it's at this point where we get a little bit of Buddy questioning himself. You know, this is where he needs to question himself. The hero
Yes.
has reached the point in his hero's journey where he needs to look inward. He needs to go into the dark cave and look at what bothers him the most in order to
Mm-hmm.
go on. And in this case, it involves killing a young musician who attacks him who looks a lot like himself.
Yes.
And so for a little while, he gets all distraught and he doesn't really want to go on. And he kind of has a crisis of faith. And just as this happens, death also attacks, which gets us to
Mm-hmm.
another amazing action scene,
Yes.
which is a really, really fun one. And then we get to the part of the movie that, if honestly you were going to cut anything out of this movie, it's the next part for me. This
I got you.
basically, it doesn't kill the movie hard, but it almost kills the movie.
Yeah.
Because for the next like 10, 15 minutes, the kid gets, as the fight scene with death is happening, the kid gets falls into like an underground pit,
Yeah.
and then he is now in this underground lair of these mutants. And I
It
wrote, I
is.
really hated this part of the movie. I felt like you could completely cut all of this. This is basically equivalent to the sewer level of a video game, where
Yes.
it's like, I don't need this. I mean, it's important for the movie and because it shows that Buddy and the kid are bonding. Like, his buddy
Yeah.
rescues him once again.
Yeah.
Buddy comes to the rescue of this kid. So we know Buddy's a hero, and we know the kid and him like each other. I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you could have done that in a much simpler way that didn't involve
Yeah.
us getting into like an underground layer of things that kind of seemed silly and didn't need to happen, honestly. But
You really
it's
know.
really my only like it's really the only part of this movie I didn't like, honestly.
That's fair.
So we get out of the sewer level and we're back on track to Vegas, but not so fast. Remember those mad
No.
Russians we talked about from the beginning?
Yeah,
Those
that's right.
Dan Pinko commie scums. Well, they finally started to show up. And we get introduced to Russians. And this part of the movie I thought was visually cool because it looks like there's just a couple of them. And there's hills that kind of like blend into
Mm-hmm.
the desert landscape. So you don't even look like they're hills. And then all of a sudden, Russians just pop up everywhere. And
That was
it's very cool. It's a very cool
it's a
visual side.
it's a very cool visual.
The people playing the Russians are maybe the least convincing Russians I've ever seen, though.
Oh yeah.
The lead Russian breaks his accent several times.
Oh
He
yeah.
tries his best, though. I will say that
Oh
he
yeah.
tries his best. He does try to keep a Russian accent, but you can tell that he lets that thing mess up a couple of times. Or maybe I could be wrong. Maybe he is Russian, and I end up sounding like an asshole. Where it's like actually the actor is just Russian. That's just how he
that's
talks.
that's that's what Russian sounds like.
Sounded a little fake, definitely coming in from an
Yeah.
American ears. Could be wrong.
I
Um,
it'd be hard to call you wrong on that.
so Buddy and has another epic encounter, another fight scene
Mm-hmm.
of that looks amazing. He takes on
Oh
the
yeah.
entire Russian army basically, one on hundreds.
It is awesome.
It's a very cool fight scene. It is a very very cool fight scene. But unfortunately, he only barely survives, and
Mm-hmm.
he gets dragged off. And this is when Death and company show up again. Death Cab for Cutie has shown up once again to take you into the dark, and
Oh,
or you could go with Slayer, maybe, blood raining from a lacerated sky. Slayer shows
yep.
up. Either way, Death has shown up, and well, he's here to
Or
find Buddy. Oh, go ahead.
you could go Iron Maiden with a little Fear of the Dark.
I like it.
Yep.
Relevant because the original lead singer just died yesterday.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the original lead singer from the way back on their first album when they were a punk band. Which, if you did not know, fans, that Iron Maiden originally was a punk band, their first album is like a little bit of a punk album. And then they kind of got more heavy metal. I like
More
all Iron
thrasher
Maiden. Yeah,
stuff
I
like
love Iron Maiden, so I'm cool
yes.
with either way. But yeah, they had a different lead singer on the first album, and yeah, he recently died. So I like the
Huh.
Iron Maiden reference. Yeah, you could do Iron Maiden, Death Cab for Cutie, Slayer. That's a weird mixtape for sure.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
It's a
so
a very troubled youth
it's a troubled youth.
mixtape.
You probably from divorced parents. So nothing there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
Um,
just a cry for help. That's all.
someone. And you should also throw some Matthew Sweet in there. We're getting way too off
Oh
track.
yes, we
Um,
are. But we're
so
talking about music. It
it's
gets
true
easy.
because they're about to have a guitar fight. So this is the part
Yes.
that I said like I would love to take this and put this as our intro. I've been trying to find us a good intro. I actually had a really good one by a band called the A Plus Setup.
Mm-hmm.
But when I tried to use like the 10 seconds of it I needed for our intro, it got flagged on YouTube for copyright. So I had to keep taking it
Uh,
off. So I just kind of got tired of taking it off and was like, I'll just
yeah.
get rid of it. Then I tried using a generic intro that they gave me, which was like classical music, and it didn't really
Oh,
fit the vibe.
not at all.
So I'm gonna try this one and see what happens. We'll see. If it
We'll
gets
see.
flagged, then you're not gonna hear it because it won't
Yeah.
be a part of this episode. We'll see.
We'll see.
So Death and him have a guitar duel, which Buddy
Yes.
wins,
Oh yes.
which pisses Death off. And
Yeah.
his
Immediately.
immediately, yeah, he pissed off. He orders his rhythm section, which are these archers that have been following him the entire time,
Yeah.
which basically look like any member of any hair metal band you could ever imagine, except they're
Mm-hmm.
like basically dressed in all black in the desert. That must have been
Yeah.
miserable to shoot in, gotta
Oh, I
say.
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It would have been miserable to shoot. That would have been
Mm-hmm.
awful. Would have taken. It would have been. That would have been a lot of sweat.
Oh yeah.
So Death orders his rhythm section to kill Buddy, or sorry, to kill the kid, to take the kid, and
Yes.
yeah. So Buddy decides to save the kid's life, and at his own expense, and he gets shot with just a bunch of arrows.
So many arrows.
So many arrows. Yeah, I'm not sure how they did the visual effects for that. It looked really cool. That it looked like they
It
just
did.
fucking shot him. Like it.
It does
Yeah,
look like it.
yeah. The music effect is also pretty good at this time. Like I said, this movie is actually like really compelling visually to watch. It is a
Mm-hmm.
fun. It's a fun movie. I really enjoyed it. Keep
It'd be a
saying
good
that.
movie for like aspiring filmmakers to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think if you're trying, I guess it depends on your budget.
Right.
If you're trying to go like on the cheap, maybe I would still say El Mariachi is a little bit better because it's just like
Oh
35
yeah.
grand. Or even cheaper. I can't even remember. I know Clerks was like 30 grand,
Yeah.
but I mean now to do a movie, I don't know. I don't know how much it would cost. I
No, I
don't know if
don't
you could
know.
make it. You might be able to make it for less than 30 grand. I mean, Paranormal Activity was a very cheap movie, and it made a
Was it?
shit ton of movie. Oh yeah, the first one made it was very cheap. It made a shit ton of movie. Shit
I
ton of
only
movies,
saw
both shit ton of money and a shit ton of movie sequels.
yeah, they did make a lot of them. I only saw
It's a
one of
lot.
them and it was like it was years before me and you even met. I think it was the second one or the third one. I didn't know what the movies even were, but I actually saw that one in theater and I don't like jump scares at all. So
Well
it did
that's the
not
whole
help that
movie.
we were and oh, that was very frustrating. Because that's the one thing I don't like. I like horror movies until they have jump scares, and I'm like, I'm out. I can't. It's so annoying. I'm, it just pisses me off. But and it was in a theater filled with like a bunch of. To me, it just felt like a bunch of like 16-year-old girls or something that were just constantly screaming, and like that got me because I was like, that's a very high pitched scream. So
My wife has a very high pitched scream that she
yeah.
unleashes whenever we're watching a horror movie. If it has any kind of jump scare and she hasn't seen it before, she is going to scream, which inadvertently makes me not react at all because her screaming just immediately makes me look at her rather than looking at whatever's happening on the screen. So I have
uh,
like a non-reaction to jump scares now after it happening so many times. I'm just like, oh yeah, something happened. I don't know. It's whatever. Yeah, I'm used to it. Doesn't bother me as much. So back to the plot of the movie. Buddy, we think he's dead. He's not though, because he's
nope.
gonna rise to the occasion to try to fight death at a sword fight.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, though, he's taking a lot of arrow shots, so he's not able to
Yeah.
defeat death at a sword fight, which is it's a
Yeah.
damn shame.
It
But
really is.
Good news is the kid watched Wizard of Oz, so he knows how to defeat this guy because we get another reference to Wizard of Oz because the kid figures out to all you need to do to defeat death is put some water on him.
That's all it took. That
That's
comes
all
out
it
of
took, baby.
nowhere, but it's a nice reference. So
Yeah, he needed I think, needed some kind of tie in there to I guess you really did. I mean, there's a lot of references to Wizard of Oz,
there
especially with the
really
way it
is.
ends. Maybe
Yes.
you didn't, but I don't know how else are you gonna, how else are
How
you
else would
gonna
you
have
make
the
it look?
kid defeat death? So you're gonna
Right.
grab the katana and fight him, that'd be
No.
ridiculous. So I think it fits the plot. It fits where you're going. So can't really hate
Yeah.
it too much. So Death is defeated, and Death's little posse decides to
Yeah.
give the kid their card and say, "Hey, man,
That's
if you ever want to party with us, we would
yeah.
love to jam with you."
Yeah, they seemed almost relieved.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they wanted to deal with Death anymore. It seems like he was kind of a prick.
That's believable.
A little bit. So the kid puts all of Buddy's clothes on, which is adorable
Yep.
scene of the movie.
It
He's
really is.
wearing all these giant clothes, and he finishes Buddy's journey. He's going to finish walking to Las Vegas and become the king, and that's where
The
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 movie ends with him
with
walking into. Oh, good.
the worst CGI city I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. You get a CGI city in the distance that looks exactly well as close as they could get to the Emerald City in Wizard of Oz.
Hmm.
And the kid is walking, and in the distance over time he turns into Buddy, and as he gets closer and closer to the city, and he takes
Yeah.
on the throne of the king of Vegas.
Hmm.
Excuse me.
Hmm. See?
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah.
I started coughing like crazy all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on with that. The joys of
Yeah.
being a public school teacher, you get exposed to all kinds of fun things.
Oh God, yeah. This is
Yeah.
why I'm glad I'm work from home.
Oh boy, I wish I could. I love that.
Yeah,
2020 was a good year for me, and only the sense that I got to work from home because I worked at a college that year.
that's right.
And yeah, they sent us home, and I just worked from home that year, and it
Yeah.
worked out pretty well. I got really good at working from home.
Oh, I don't think I can go back to any other way.
So
I mean,
where were we before we stopped? Was the
we were
kid?
talking about that the end with that just walking into the Emerald City,
Oh
Las
yeah,
Vegas.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So the kid walks into this Vegas, and he's taken on the role of the king, presumably as he has become Buddy at
Yeah.
the end of the movie, and so we get to the end. So before we
Yes.
give our sequel ideas, because this was supposed to be part one of a three-part sequel series, we'll hear your two, and then I'll tell you my two, or vice versa.
Oh, buddy.
What'd you think of the movie?
I loved it. From the very moment I first saw it, I was probably 16, 15 or 16, maybe 17, something like that. I was the target audience for this movie. Like, it hit me, and, because I just saw it on, one of the movie channels that comes on, and I was just immediately, like, captivated because I hadn't seen movies like this before. They were always, I don't know, higher budget, and they were less stylized. So this was probably the first real like stylized movie that I'd seen like this. So it it just sucked me right in. So yeah, I've always loved this movie.
Yeah, I'd never seen this before. It was definitely one after listening to you talk about it for years and other
Hmm.
people on our friend group and other people outside of our friend group talking about it. Always one that I thought that I would miss the boat on. Turns out it was on YouTube for like the last 8 years or something
Oh Lord.
crazy. So apparently all I had to do was just search it up on YouTube. I was just a lazy sack of shit. So I don't really have a good reason to not have watched it up until now. But having watched it now, I really, really enjoyed it. It is a good time. It's 91 minutes long, so it's only an
Hmm.
hour and 31 minutes.
Yep.
And other than the like 10-minute sequence where he's in the underground sewer level, which is completely unnecessary, it's a very fun movie. It's visually compelling. Lots of references going on every which way to all kinds of different things. Um, you can tell that the style
Yes.
and the time and energy put into it, definitely you can see all that on the screen. That the
Hmm.
people making it care about making it and are having fun making it. And I feel like when you have those those little triangle of things come together of, a good group of people having fun and making something that they really care about, then I feel like whatever you come up with is going to eventually find some kind of audience. Unfortunately, it eventually found its audience, but didn't do it in a fast enough time for the
Yeah.
studios to greenlight him really doing another movie. And the movie he did after this, like we said, Crow, also was not well received, so did not really help his
Uh,
career in any way, shape, or form in getting another
no, that
movie
couldn't.
made. Yeah, and what are you going to do? This movie did
What are
have
you
a
gonna do?
tie into comic books, though. In 1998, Rob Liefeld, who, if you do not
Oh,
know Rob Liefeld, he is the guy who came up with Deadpool.
yep.
He is also a artist who I think fundamentally doesn't understand how the human anatomy works.
No.
But he is behind a lot of 90s comics. If you were a 90s comic book fan, which I was,
Hmm.
I
Yes.
was a bit comic book nerd in the 90s, less so as I got older. I've wanted to dip my toe back into it. I know like a local comic book owner, and if I
Yeah.
wanted to, I could probably go like, go to his shop and like not get things for free or anything like that, but like get some good advice on like really good books to get into.
Hmm.
I just don't have any room to collect any more shit.
Oh no,
So,
that's my
actually,
biggest
all of the
roadblock.
comics I have, I gave to you. I don't know if you still have them or not, but I
I
remember
have
I think
some.
I gave you most of the comics I had
You
because
know what? I do still have
I had a good
those.
amount of them.
I have those, and I have a handful. Like whenever I tried to dip my toe back into
Yeah.
collecting, I was trying to get back into like the Green Lantern whenever they were doing the whole.
Brightest Day, Blackest Night, whole thing.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
during that storyline,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Unfortunately, the movie that culminated in that was one of the worst movies ever made.
yeah,
Ryan
it
Reynolds'
was
Green
such a
Lantern is horrible. It is an awful movie.
and full disclosure, Green Lantern is my favorite comic book superhero of all
Nice.
time.
I'm a Daredevil guy. I'm a Daredevil guy.
Oh, Daredevil's awesome.
Love Daredevil.
So yeah,
Also really liked The Punisher growing up. Love The Punisher.
Mhm.
So the first comic books I ever really got were my grandmother used to take me to Lowe's grocery store. I don't know if that's a
Oh
thing outside of
wow.
Texas, but yeah, that was a thing back in the day. We went to Lowe's grocery store down the street from her house in Midland, Texas, and she
Hmm.
used to let me buy a bag of comics. They used to sell bags of comics at the grocery store and the little like where
Yeah.
the magazines were. Used to be like a magazine section, children, if you're listening and you're unfamiliar, usually towards the front. And somewhere in that magazine section would be a bag of comics. Usually it was like a bound issue of like three or four, not like
Hmm.
hardback, just trade
Like
paperback or
trade
trades.
paperbacks. Yeah.
Yeah, but like of like a series together. And the
Hmm.
she used to just buy those for me. And the one that I remember sticking out because of how just violent it was is like my grandmother was a church person, so I just was like, what am I looking at? Because I would like read them in the car while we were driving, and I was like, oh, she can't see this. Was
Yeah.
Wolverine versus Punisher.
Oh no, that
Yeah,
is violent.
that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
I love those comics growing up. So yeah.
Yeah.
So Rob Liefeld actually made a comic of this, but
Hmm.
it was not just a reimagining of it. It was actually like a continuation of the story. So
Oh.
yeah, I tried to find it. It was just a one shot. He just did one shot of it.
Hmm.
Um, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I looked online for it. You can buy it online. But I didn't. By the time it would have got
Yeah.
here, it really wouldn't have been relevant for what we were talking about. So didn't really
Yeah,
think it
that's
would matter.
true.
I've tried buying stuff before for us on the podcast, and it came in like 3 weeks later than it was supposed to.
Oh.
So I was like, well, that doesn't really work out. So, anyway,
Yeah.
speaking of sequels, let's talk
Yes.
about our sequels because I gave you some homework when I found out
Yes,
this
you
movie
did.
was supposed to be part one of a three-part sequel trilogy. I told you, I was like, I think we should write our own sequels and then talk about them, which is what we're going to do right now. So,
Yes.
do you want to go first?
I will go first because
All right.
you definitely want to get your worst foot forward. So I've
I
got some
like it. So,
real stupid.
give me your Six String Samurai 2 sequel.
All right. I'm not going to say the name of it yet because it's going to become, well, it may even just become obvious, but
Yeah.
you'll see it. Knowing me, it's a pun. But anyway,
Of course, obviously.
yeah.
It's all
So
movies
here's what
puns.
I so what I have is so I'm kind of in this sequel. I'm ignoring him just fading into an adult buddy because that doesn't work for this story.
I like
Um,
it.
in my story, he's still a kid and he goes into Las Vegas. Right when he gets there, a new king is crowned. Just another Elvis impersonator, you know.
I like it.
And so in the first movie, well, the only movie, the he Buddy talks about the beach to the kid. And so the kid is inspired by that. So he leaves. He's like, well, this didn't pan out for me. So he leaves and he goes to the beach. And while I will say, when he, kind of right away, instead of just going by the kid, he renames himself to Lil Buddy. And
I like
that's
it. I like it.
not even the dumbest part, probably. But, but he goes to the beach and he ends up meeting with, and there's another reference because he meets with the Reverend. And
Okay.
yes, and the Reverend takes him in and trains him up. He's like a martial arts master of some kind. So we get montage, training montage, growing up. The next time we see, after all the montage, we see a young man, little buddy. And uh while they're, after their training montage and everything, they're kind of doing whatever, working out, doing, chopping wood, whatever. And they get word, like a messenger or something, that the new king has died.
Hmm.
So that's when the Reverend tells Lil Buddy, it's your time. Get back in there, take that throne. So he goes off on his journey, like very uh what was it? Kung Fu, or what
Kung
was
Fu.
it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
with Carradine.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He goes
Very
on a
much in that
journey.
vein. He's like, it's your time. It's time to
Yeah.
go. I've taught you all I can teach you. Uh
Samuel
and
Jackson in Pulp Fiction.
exactly. Like it's time to go. So and I don't have a lot written, I don't have anything written about the journey, which is kind of lame because that's a big part of the movie. But basically, on his journey, he does, he's not so much of a loner. He is fine with teaming up with people because that's what he did when he was a kid. So it was by the grace of being able to do that that he even got to where he was. So he meets up with a more Latino rocker. His name is Val.
Okay.
You might see where this is going. And
Hmm.
and this one's going to be even more clear. He also meets with a more like, drunken kung fu type guy named, and I'm just going to go with like Bopper or Bebop or something like that.
Okay.
Again, you're getting it now, I think. But it's very stupid.
I like
But
it.
then, so they make their way there. This time they actually get into Las Vegas. We actually see Las Vegas, and we see Battle of the Bands. We see, fighting. We see all of that in the process because for some reason this felt very anime the way I was doing it. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, they got to have a special ability. We see three different special abilities from each of them, like one each. Of course, obviously, Val has La Bamba.
I like it.
That's his. Yes. Did you? Okay. If you weren't on
Oh,
board, now you know.
I understood. I got where you were
You
headed.
understood, but you didn't know it was going to be that.
Uh,
Like I said,
I grew up with a dad who was a big fan of Buddy Holly, so I'm getting the
yeah,
references.
you are getting the references there. It's very surface level. And
Hmm.
then, of course, you get the boppers. He's doing his drunken thing. He has white lightning,
I like it.
and then you get what little buddy has because he was taught by the Reverend, and he has a very cool special ability called the Psychobilly Freakout.
Wonderful.
Yes, little Reverend Horton he, because I wanted to really highlight the like rockabilly, psychobilly, like that's the
Yeah,
real hero. So I wanted to stay in that vein.
I like
But
it.
after you know, the three of them stand victorious at the end of all of these battles, instead of like trying one person to take the throne, they all three decide they're going to be like a triumvirate. They're going to rule together.
Hmm.
And that's basically how it ends. But this one is Six String Samurai 2, The Day the Music Unified. It's,
All
so,
right. I like the pun. I like it. I
yeah.
like it. I like it. I
So
like it.
so instead of dying in a crash, in a helicopter crash, or was it a helicopter or a plane? Either way, instead of dying in that,
Plane
they
crash.
it was a plane crash. That's right.
Yeah.
So instead of dying in that, the three of them rule Las Vegas. So
I like it. All right. Give us your give it. Do you have a third one?
I do have a third one,
Okay.
and
Go
this
ahead
one
and
I'm gonna
follow up.
go. Oh, this one I think I might have had a mental break because it's gonna be even more disjointed and confusing, but also a lot less to it. This
All right.
one, I'll go straight on with the title. This one's very much more Buddy Holly centric. It's Six String Samurai 3, Rave On.
All right.
So after, and I actually wrote this a little bit, after ruling for many years in peace and prosperity, with with the triumvirate, they they've united, because they unified the music. A new group of rockers come in, and they're a group called the Riders on the Storm, and they have promises of breaking on through because they're led by Mr. Mojo Rising. Yes, I went way too deep on this one, but I
I like
want
it.
to.
I like it. I like it.
Uh, so during that, like when they're Las Vegas is getting invaded by this group, the three rulers not doing well. They're getting beaten during that whole fight. The two, the Val and Bopper, they get killed. Lil Buddy escapes. He's basically exiled. They're a little older now, probably late 20s, 30s, something like that. But as he's running away, you see Mr. Mojo Rising. He crowns himself king, the Lizard King. I promise that's all. Oh wait, that's not all. I apologize. There's more.
Of
I
course,
have
there's
more
more.
references. This all just became a reference to me.
I like where you
Um,
took it though.
yeah. Well, wait. You'll change your mind. Um, so while he is in exile, Lil Buddy realizes that his techniques that he has been taught weren't enough. So he's going to train, and he develops a new technique, a new martial arts named Peggy Jiu Jitsu.
Terrible.
Pause for applause on that one.
No, you're getting none. None.
Oh, yeah, I know. Like I said, I had you on board and then I dropped you. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
after he learns and he trains and it's a handful of years, he goes back to Las Vegas because he's going to try and take it back and bring back peace because it's basically like when the hyenas take over in Lion King.
Yeah.
And um when he gets there, he finds that it's no longer Las Vegas. They now call it the City of Lights. And I that's the last one.
I like it.
Um yeah. So with his new style, his new martial arts, he's very much like one man army. We're back to him fighting the Russians, that kind of thing. He takes out the whole entire group, the Riders of the Storm, and he faces off against the Lizard King now. They are pretty evenly matched. It's a real epic ending battle. It's the kind of battle that ends a trilogy.
Mm.
And as Lil Buddy, you know, strikes that final blow and kills him, they kind of both go down. Like he wins, but it's like a Pyrrhic victory. He is mortally wounded himself. And here's where I decided to go completely stupid. If you can believe it, it gets worse. Um, he as he's dying, and like the subjects or the people like you're kind of gathering around, he kind of pulls this document out of his jacket or something, and you just sort of see it zoom in or something, and it's like the Rock Constitution or something, and then voiceover can say they're no longer ruled by a rock monarchy. Now they're a rock democracy. So it's
I like
ended it
it.
on a very weak note.
No, I think it was fine. You took it
Yeah.
however it felt good for you.
Yeah.
So mine are a little different. I rather than
I
going
hope.
that detailed, I kind of more just like skip the surface. So I
Oh,
basically
was
wrote
mine
like
detailed?
I more than mine.
Oh.
I basically wrote like what will show up on the back of a DVD to like describe
Oh,
the
okay.
plot, like just the beat, just the basics, you know. Feel
Mm-hmm.
free to sprinkle in whatever you feel, whatever the producers feel like you need to. But I like what you wrote. Very good. A lot of
Awesome.
similarities to what I came up with actually. You'll kind
Oh,
of
okay.
notice some similarities here, some more tonal similarities, and some of the references I think we throw down. Mine are kind of
Mm-hmm.
sprinkled in and throughout both of them as well. So my first Six String Samurai 2, Rock and Roll Never Dies.
Nice.
Years have passed, and Buddy, the kid, whatever you want to call him, he has now taken on the being the king of Vegas fairly well. Not doing too bad. However, his sudden ascension has ruffled some feathers, specifically the feathers of some young punk rockers, held and led by Johnny X and his band
Nice.
of punks. So tensions, you know, there's going to be some scenes of them disagreeing. You know, Buddy shows up and maybe the punks are spray painting, and Buddy's like, "Hey, buds, play it cool" or something. You know, I don't know, just shit like that, right? There's some tensions
Yeah.
happening, some tensions. There's some tension. Tension boils over though when Johnny and his band win first prize at the Battle of the Bands. Demoralized, the kid considers giving up hope and wandering the wastelands for the ever. Right, we get the reference to Kung Fu again. Comes back here in a
Mm-hmm.
moment. But in the third one, and I get more there. But he has to come back to Vegas because Vegas is attacked by mutant zombie Russian hybrid monsters.
Oh.
Yeah. So the city is getting succumb like it never has before, and Johnny and the punks are not able to defend it as well as they thought. It's going to take Johnny and the kid to work together to save Lost Vegas from the Russian mutant hybrid creature things.
Ah.
That's basically the premise of the movie. Um, Johnny X would, in my dreams, be played by Brian Setzer,
Oh, that makes all the sense in the world.
something like that. You know, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's how you take it. Yeah. So that's
Hmm.
my first one. Here's number three: Six String Samurai 3, The Crossroads.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, a few months have passed since the last war, as they now have started calling it. Buddy gets a vision.
Mm.
It's his past self talking to him somewhere out in the wasteland. He decides he needs to go on a spiritual journey to really find himself, leaving Johnny in charge of Lost Vegas as he goes in search of the crossroads.
Mm.
Turning my page. So the kid is on a journey through the wasteland. Meanwhile, Johnny is finding being king much harder than he expected, especially when death has reincarnated and shown back up. Can the kid find what he is looking for before death kills what's left of the scene? Question mark. That would be what would be on the back of the DVD box. There you go.
Oh, nice.
Those are my. I almost said Samurai Cop. That's a different movie. Those are my Six String Samurai 2 and 3. What'd
I
you
like
think?
it. I like those.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I didn't
See.
get quite into as much detail as
y-
plot points as you did. I tried to just kind of like do like a little brush over and keep it simple.
Yeah. I
But I
I
liked where you went. I liked how much detail you gave me. That was nice.
yeah. And funny enough, through all that detail, never once considered an actor or a director or anything. So
I feel like the director of this movie did a good enough job. Let's let him
I think
try
so.
his second one. We're gonna give
I
him
would.
Brian Setzer. Brian is not really an
Yes.
actor. I think he would probably work cheap.
Yep.
Keep Jeff Falcon on. That seemed fine to
Oh,
me.
heck yeah.
I feel like you got a good movie on your hands right there.
I think so.
Uh, at least you can work it. Speaking of good movies, next week is well, I guess we're at the end. We talked about how we felt about the movie. We
We
talked about the
yeah,
sequels. We talked about the background. We talked about a lot tonight, and we're going to
we
end
did.
by talking about what we're going to talk about next week,
Yes.
which is a movie that I have never seen before, but I have
Ooh.
already done a lot of research on, and it has a fascinating tie-in that I never expected we're going to get into. Next week is going to be a weird episode as we talk about 1989's The Blood of Heroes, sometimes also called Salute of the Jugger.
think I know what you're talking about. I've never seen this one either, though.
This is a post-apocalyptic Rutger Hauer sports movie.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, starring Rutger Hauer and Vincent D'Onofrio. Just butchered his last name. Full Metal Jacket guy,
Yeah,
and a few other people show up as well in there. Like I said, I have never seen it, but I watched the trailer for it, and it looks amazing, and it is I think going to be a good time. So yeah, we're gonna watch
yeah.
Blood of Heroes next week. So thank you guys for listening to us talk about Six String Samurai. Hopefully you had fun. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I thought it was a really good time.
I
And
definitely recommend it.
yeah, yeah, we don't typically rate movies, but 5 out of 5 stars,
Five out
whatever
of five.
whatever rating system you want to attribute it to, 1 out of 1.
Five out
Do
of five
these
mushroom clouds.
exactly 16 out of 24 Doc Holidays.
Nice.
65 out of 314 sandwiches, whatever number scale you want to give it. It was good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I don't know why we have to put numbers onto things. It seems stupid,
No,
but
no.
it was good. You should take a look at it if you have the time. Like I said, it's on YouTube for
Right there
free,
on YouTube.
so there's no reason why you couldn't watch it. Yeah, you can also find the DVD on Vinegar Syndrome. Like I said, you can listen to the director's commentary. Would
I'd
love
actually
to
like to
hear the
listen to that.
actor and hear. Yeah, yeah, I really
Oh
want to
yeah,
listen
I'd
to it
like that
too.
more.
I am almost compelled to just buy it just so I can hear the director's commentary. Because
Hmm.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
So, speaking of cool, next week we're gonna watch Blood of Heroes. Like I said, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you enjoyed us, and we'll keep on seeing you guys next week. See ya.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Bye. A Cash American Pawn, and each of these was 50 cents. It's
Ooh.
like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Ooh.
Black Magic. It's a Shaw Brothers movie.
Okay.
Fearless Fighters. Never seen that one. It's another
Nope.
kung fu movie. Bells of Death. It's a Shaw Brothers movie.
Mm.
Reservoir Dogs.
Ooh. Yes.
House of Games, which is a David Mamet movie.
That sounds familiar.
It has a lot of plays, lots of talking.
Oh, okay.
Lots of
Yeah.
talking. Interstellar. Speaking of talking, Christopher Nolan. Interstellar.
Yep.
All three of the Mimic movies in a little collection. Guillermo del
I think
Toro's Mimic.
that's that's right.
The other two are not directed by Guillermo del Toro. Uh, Free Jack,
Yes.
Emilio Estevez, Mick
Yes.
Jagger, 80s weird movie.
Very cool.
Double pack with Bordello of Blood and Demon Knight, which are both
Oh,
Tales from the Crypt movies.
yes.
Then I got Johnny Mnemonic,
Hell yeah.
Purple Rose of Cairo.
Mm-hmm. That's a bit
Uh,
of a tonal shift.
yeah, you got it. Cocaine Bear
Oh, okay. I still haven't seen that.
and the original Judge Dredd. Did I already say that one?
No, you did not. No, that's a
Okay,
very
got
good
the
movie,
original
I
Judge
think.
Dredd. Yeah, so those are all DVDs. The last DVD was another 50 cent one, which apparently is a very valuable little DVD. It's like 80
Mm,
bucks online, so I felt fine buying more of them. Is
yeah.
the 5 film collection of the Highlander movies. So it has all 5 of the
Ooh.
Highlander movies, all the way up until the Source, the most recent one, before I think they're trying to remake it. But
Oh, really?
yeah, I've heard rumors that they're trying to remake Highlander. I don't know
The
why,
Source. That's the
but
one with that like albino bald dude or whatever. It's
yeah.
like